My name is Fiona, and I'm a 34-year-old single mother working as an elementary school teacher. I'm currently separated from my husband Walter, and while I struggle to balance work and childcare, I'm devoted to raising my daughter Hannah. Hannah is my 5-year-old daughter. She used to be cheerful and innocent, but recently she's been keeping to herself in her room. Especially at night, she tearfully begs, "Mommy, please don't come into my room." Walter is 36 and works for a large corporation. He's always busy with work and is rarely home. While he maintains a good public image, he's cold at home, and we've grown distant from each other. Walter and I met in college. We quickly became close through our shared love of music. I was captivated by the sound of his guitar, and nothing made me happier than spending time with him. We married right after graduation and began our new life together. Back then, we were truly happy, and I believe we had a perfect family until Hannah was born. The joy I felt when Hannah was born is beyond words. I took on all the household responsibilities and devoted myself to caring for her. Walter had landed a job at a large corporation, and at first, he managed to balance work and family life. However, gradually his workload increased, and he began coming home late more often. While I struggled with the pressure of managing the household alone, I still enjoyed my daily life with Hannah. But amid our peaceful days, a sudden storm arrived. I discovered Walter's affair. The pain I felt then still haunts me today. I tried to rebuild our relationship, but Walter remained cold and indifferent to our family. Our relationship gradually deteriorated, and I decided to separate from him. I found a new house and moved there with Hannah to start a new life. After starting our new life, my days with Hannah were quiet yet busy. My morning routine begins with preparing Hannah's breakfast. The smell of pancakes, her favorite, filling the kitchen always brings a smile to my face. When I gently call out, "Hannah, breakfast's ready," she comes to the kitchen with a sleepy face. "Good morning, Mommy," Hannah says with a smile as she sits at the table. I place the pancakes in front of her and encourage her, "Let's have a good day at kindergarten today." Hannah takes a bite of her pancake and responds cheerfully, "Yes, Mommy. I'll do my best." After dropping Hannah off at kindergarten, I rush to work. Though my job as an elementary school teacher keeps me busy, I'm passionate about teaching my students. Still, Hannah is always in the back of my mind. After school, I pick up Hannah, and we enjoy making dinner together. Hannah helps by cutting vegetables with her small hands and setting the table. However, Hannah has been different lately. After dinner, she tends to shut herself in her room, saying, "Mommy, please don't come in." This change worried me. Hannah had started keeping to herself in her room only in the past few weeks. She used to love spending time with me in the living room, but now she returns to her room immediately after dinner. Even when I invite her, saying, "Hannah, would you like to watch TV with Mommy?" she just replies, "No, I'm going to my room." That evening, I was spending a quiet moment in the living room. The house felt a bit lonely since Hannah had gone to her room. I made my favorite cup of tea and sat on the sofa. The news was playing on TV, but I couldn't focus on it. My mind was constantly preoccupied with Hannah. The next morning, while I was preparing Hannah's breakfast, she came into the kitchen in her pajamas. Though Hannah looked a bit tired, I smiled and said, "Good morning, Hannah." I made pancakes. Good morning, Mommy, Hannah responded with a small smile and sat at the table. While she ate her pancakes, I observed her carefully. Her small hands lifting the fork to her mouth hadn't changed, but her eyes seemed to be gazing somewhere far away. Hannah, you can always talk to Mommy about anything. I'm here to listen, I said gently. Hannah looked up for a moment but quickly lowered her eyes again. She only answered, "Okay, Mommy," but her voice carried a hint of anxiety. After dropping Hannah off at kindergarten, I headed to work. Watching the children in my classroom enjoying themselves, I couldn't help but wish Hannah could smile like them too. After school, I went to pick up Hannah. When I spotted her getting off the bus, I held her hand firmly. When I asked, "How was your day?" Hannah only replied, "Normal." I could see fatigue in her eyes. During dinner time, I cooked with Hannah in the kitchen. I couldn't help but smile watching her seriously washing carrots. "Hannah, I'm so happy we can cook together today," I said, and Hannah showed a slight smile. She responded, "Me too," but then fell silent. While concerned about Hannah's changes, I tried my best to help her feel secure. After finishing dinner, Hannah returned to her room again. "Mommy, can we skip story time tonight?" she asked, and I could see confusion on her face. Respecting her wishes, I gently replied, "Of course, Hannah. Get some good rest." Late that night, after Hannah had fallen asleep, I stood outside her room. I could hear her peaceful breathing through the door. When I quietly opened the door and went in, Hannah was curled up in her sleep. Seeing her like that, my heart ached, not understanding what was making her so frightened. The next day passed similarly. Hannah's behavior hadn't changed, and I felt increasingly worried. I thought about consulting her kindergarten teacher but feared being seen as just an overanxious mother without any concrete evidence. That evening, when I picked up Hannah, I noticed she wasn't playing much with the other children. Her face lacked its usual brightness as she got off the bus. When I reached out my hand, Hannah held it tightly. "I love you, Mommy," Hannah said. "I love you too, Hannah. Remember, you can always talk to me about anything," I said gently. Hannah nodded slightly and replied, "Thank you, Mommy," but her eyes still showed signs of worry. That night, I again found myself standing outside Hannah's room. Unable to muster the courage to open the door, I just stood there listening to her breathing, silently praying. I strongly felt that I needed to find out what was making Hannah so scared. The next morning, while preparing breakfast, I was deep in thought about Hannah. It was clear she was hiding something, but I didn't know how to get her to open up. I felt I needed to be closer to her to protect her happiness and safety. After dropping Hannah at kindergarten, I continued thinking about her on my way to work. I found myself searching for answers about what I could do for her and how I could make her feel secure. After school, when I picked up Hannah, she seemed to have regained a bit of her spirit. When I asked, "How was your day?" Hannah answered, "It was a little fun." While those words gave me some relief, I still couldn't completely shake off my worry. While making dinner together, Hannah gradually started talking more. "Mommy, I drew pictures at kindergarten today," Hannah said, and I eagerly asked, "Oh really? What did you draw?" Hannah replied, "A big tree, and me playing with my friends." Her smile at that moment felt like something I hadn't seen in ages. However, one night, as Hannah was in her room, I stopped outside her door and heard her quietly sobbing. Worried sick, I knocked on the door. "Hannah, are you okay?" "Mommy's here if you want to talk," I said gently, but Hannah just cried out, "Mommy, please, don't come in." There was desperation in her voice, and I couldn't bring myself to open the door. The next day, I decided to investigate Hannah's room while she was at kindergarten. After she left for school, I quietly entered her room. Everything was neat and tidy, with her favorite stuffed animals and picture books properly arranged. Yet there was an unsettling stillness in the air. I opened Hannah's closet. There I found her treasured Cinderella picture book. I knew Hannah particularly cherished this book, and wondering if there might be a special reason, I picked it up. As I turned the pages, I found a message written in Hannah's childish handwriting, "Run away from Daddy." I was shocked by these words emphasized in red. I couldn't understand what was happening or what Hannah knew. Afterward, I read Hannah's diary to understand what she knew and how it was affecting her. The diary contained Hannah's anxieties and fears. There were many entries about her father, Walter. It seemed Hannah was dealing with some serious issues regarding Walter. The contents made me increasingly worried. Tears fell as I read the line, "I'm scared of Daddy." My heart ached, not knowing what Walter had done to Hannah or why she was so frightened. Since our relationship had grown cold, I hadn't thought deeply about his behavior, but from Hannah's writings, it was clear he was hiding something. That night, I decided to call Walter. I had to confront him directly. When the call connected, I heard Walter's cold voice. "What is it, Fiona?" "At this hour," he said, and though I lost my words for a moment, I quickly began talking about Hannah. "Hannah seems scared and is hiding something." "Tell me why she's frightened," I demanded. However, Walter's response was cold, "I don't know anything." "Aren't you just being overprotective?" His attitude convinced me he was hiding something. "Walter, stop lying. You know why Hannah is so scared, don't you?" I pressed him, but he coldly declared, "This conversation is over. Just take care of Hannah properly," and hung up. At that moment, something broke inside me. It was clear Walter was hiding something, and I felt strongly that I needed to uncover it. The next morning, I prepared a special breakfast to help Hannah feel more secure. I made her favorite blueberry pancakes and orange juice, waiting for her to come to the table. "Good morning, Hannah. I made you a special breakfast today," I called out, and Hannah gave me a small smile. "Thank you, Mommy," Hannah whispered, and I squeezed her hand. "Hannah, remember that Mommy is always on your side. You can tell me anything, anytime," I said gently. Hannah was quiet for a moment before nodding and saying, "Okay, Mommy." Her response gave me a little comfort, but anxiety still lingered in my heart. After dropping Hannah at kindergarten, I headed to work. Even while teaching my students, I couldn't get Hannah off my mind. As soon as classes ended, I rushed to pick her up. At home, we made dinner together. While cooking, I asked, "Hannah, what did you do today?" Hannah answered, "I played with my friends," but there was a heaviness in her voice. After dinner, Hannah returned to her room again. I followed her and suggested, "Hannah, would you like to talk for a bit? Hannah hesitated for a moment but eventually sat on her bed and looked at me. Mommy, I'm scared of Daddy, Hannah said. Those words made my heart clench. Why, Hannah? What happened? I asked gently, but Hannah just shook her head. Hannah, no matter what, Mommy will protect you. You can feel safe telling me anything, I said, and Hannah nodded slightly, saying, Thank you, Mommy. Those words gave me a little relief, but I could still sense the great fear within her. That night, I stayed by Hannah's side until she fell asleep. After she was in deep sleep, I picked up her diary again. I read it thoroughly, trying to understand the fear and anxiety in her heart. The diary contained events Hannah had experienced with Walter. Daddy was angry again. Reading this line brought tears to my eyes. While there weren't specific details about what Walter had done, it was clear that the fear was deeply etched in Hannah's heart. The next afternoon, when I picked up Hannah from school, I held her hand tightly. Hannah, shall we go get ice cream together? I suggested, and Hannah showed a small smile. Yes, Mommy, she answered, and her voice gave me a bit of comfort. At the ice cream shop, Hannah chose chocolate ice cream, and we sat together on a bench to eat. The next day, after dropping Hannah at kindergarten, I decided to take her diary to the police. I couldn't get Hannah's messages out of my mind, and I felt this wasn't something to ignore. At the police station, I explained the situation at the front desk. The officer listened to my story, and when I showed him the diary and picture book, his expression became serious. This could be very serious. Please tell me more details, the officer said. I told him everything about Hannah's recent behavior, Walter's cold attitude, and the contents of the diary. The officer took notes while listening and pointed out, there might be listening devices planted in your house. Those words sent chills down my spine. Following the officer's instructions, we investigated the house. Hours later, the officer reported to me. We found multiple listening devices in the house. Here they are, he showed me small devices. At that moment, everything connected in my mind. Walter had been monitoring our home conversations, planning to eliminate me for his new life with his mistress. When I realized this terrifying plan, I couldn't stop trembling. However, I knew I had to reveal this truth to protect Hannah. The police decided to monitor Walter's activities, and I needed to take Hannah to a safe place temporarily. Following police instructions, I stayed at a friend's house. I only told Hannah, let's go on a little trip together. Hannah didn't suspect anything and asked, Okay, Mommy. Where are we going? It's a secret place. Somewhere you can feel safe, I smiled, and Hannah nodded slightly. That night, while staying at my friend's house with Hannah, I waited for contact from the police. The listening devices found by the police became key evidence in uncovering Walter's plan. While staying at my friend's house with Hannah, my heart was full of anxiety. Although I had found a safe place for Hannah to stay, I knew we needed to expose Walter's conspiracy to completely ensure her safety. The next day, I received a call from the police. Your husband is showing suspicious behavior. We're preparing to investigate him, they said, making me even more tense. The police tailed Walter and monitored his actions. When they confirmed he was frequently returning to the house, I returned home with police support. The house was silent, filled with tension. After a while, Walter came home. His face showed no emotion, and I confronted him with a firm attitude. "Walter, we need to talk," I said calmly. Walter seemed surprised for a moment but quickly showed a cold smile. "What about, Fiona?" he said. "About the listening devices you planted in the house." "We found all of them," I said firmly. Walter's face froze for a moment, but he quickly tried to appear calm. "Listening devices? I don't know what you're talking about," he answered. "Stop lying, Walter. The police know everything. They know about your plan too," I declared, and Walter showed a moment of agitation. However, he quickly became angry, shouting, "What are you talking about? You don't have any evidence." At that moment, the police entered the room. "Walter Smith, you're under arrest for wiretapping and attempted murder," the officer announced. Walter's face showed shock, and though he tried to resist, he was subdued by the officers. I watched Walter while thinking of Hannah, who was safely staying at my friend's house. I struggled with how to tell her the truth but felt I needed to be honest with her for her sake. After watching Walter being taken away by the police, I returned to Hannah. When Hannah saw my face, she asked worriedly, "Mommy, are you okay?" "Hannah, Mommy's fine. We can feel safe now," I answered with a smile, and Hannah squeezed my hand. "Thank you, Mommy," Hannah said, and those words brought tears to my eyes. I realized I had overcome everything for Hannah's sake. That night, while holding Hannah, I reflected on the days I had spent doing everything I could to bring back her smile. Hannah fell asleep peacefully in my arms, and as I watched her sleeping face, I felt hope for our new life ahead. The day after Walter's arrest, the police also caught his mistress as an accomplice. The police investigation revealed their misdeeds one after another. It became clear that they had been planning together to eliminate me by making it look like an accident. As the legal proceedings progressed, we consulted with lawyers and decided to claim compensation from Walter. I felt we needed a solid financial foundation to protect Hannah's future. Afterward, I began preparing to start a new life with Hannah. Finding a new house and creating an environment where Hannah could feel secure was my top priority. A few weeks later, we found a lovely house in a quiet residential area. Hannah liked the house, and we immediately began preparing to move. On moving day, though Hannah seemed a bit anxious, when I said, "Fun days are waiting for us in our new home," she nodded slightly. When we arrived at the new house, Hannah looked around and said, "This is nice." Those words filled me with relief. Life in our new house gradually healed us. Hannah regained her brightness day by day and quickly adapted to her new kindergarten. She comes home happy every day and cheerfully tells me about what happened at kindergarten. Every time I see Hannah growing, I'm grateful that she's growing up in a safe and happy environment. One day, when Hannah came home from kindergarten, she showed me a handmade card. "Mommy, look. I made this," Hannah said, and I took the card. It had colorful drawings and a message saying, "I love you, Mommy." Those words brought tears to my eyes. "Thank you, Hannah. This is such a lovely card," I said, and Hannah replied, "Thank you, Mommy. I'm happy because I have you." At those words, I hugged her tightly and gently said, you're my pride and joy." Our new life gradually but surely stabilized. I spent more time with Hannah, and we deepened our bond. Our relationship grew stronger as we enjoyed going to the park together on weekends and cooking together. As Walter's trial progressed, I deeply considered the impact he had on Hannah's life. Though his actions completely changed our lives, we grew stronger through that experience. Hannah maintained that strength, and I renewed my determination to do everything I could to support her. After Walter and his mistress received their legal judgment, we could finally live in peace. Walter received a long sentence, and his mistress was also sent to prison. With their conspiracy revealed and justice served, peace returned to Hannah's and my hearts. Our new life was filled with new joys and discoveries every day. The time I spent with Hannah was most precious to me, and her smile healed my heart. We went to the park together, enjoyed cooking, and took trips on weekends. Meanwhile, Walter and his mistress met a miserable end. In prison, they came to realize the weight of their crimes. Along with his mistress, Walter paid the price for betraying our family while receiving legal punishment. After his cold attitude and conspiracy came to light, he became isolated from society and spent his days regretting his actions. The new life Hannah and I found was true happiness waiting for us after overcoming difficulties. Hannah made many friends at her new kindergarten and enjoyed every day. Every time I saw her bright smile, I felt satisfied that I had protected her. One night, before going to bed, Hannah said to me, "Mommy, I had so much fun today." "Thank you." Those words made me truly happy. When I replied, "Hannah, when you're happy, Mommy's happy too," Hannah said, "I love you, Mommy," expressing her gratitude. As I watched Hannah's sleeping face, I felt blessed to be able to watch over her growth. I vowed in my heart that we would continue moving forward together toward a new future. I realized my mission was to provide an environment where Hannah could grow up feeling secure and watch over her as she pursued her dreams. We will continue walking toward our new future. While cherishing the true happiness we found after overcoming difficulties, we're grateful to be able to spend peaceful and tranquil days together. Hannah's smile gives me strength, and my love will continue to support her as our days go on.